everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Thursday, May the 16th, race number 6 at Belmont at the Big A. It's a maiden special weight going 3/4 of a mile. Let's take a look at this field. There are several first-time starters in this race that make it really interesting, Mike. And you also have horses that have run previously and have done quite well, including the 4 Treaty Obligation, who's hit the board in all 5 starts, but is returning off a lengthy layoff for Chad Brown as a new gelding.
Yeah, very long layoff for that horse who, listen, they got 5 starts out of him last year. He got incrementally better every time Chad sent him out there, but he couldn't break out of the maiden ranks. Then we'll see if he can do it now as a new gelding. Very, very interesting first-time starters in this race,
including the number 1 Deputy Mischief going out for trainer Belmont. This guy went through the auction ring twice, sold for $560,000 as a yearling, then for $475,000 as a 2-year-old in training after breezing a quarter in 21 flat by Super Sire into Mischief. Dam was a grade 3 stakes winner sprinting on the Sin and won her debut, and the Dam's a half to a couple of graded stakes winning stakes place dirt routers. So a lot of pedigree here. Has got to deal with the rail.
Yeah, a lot of pedigree, maybe more so for distance than for sprinting, but there is a pretty big pedigree. You mentioned the Dam was a graded winner on the all-weather, but she was also grade 1 placed on dirt. I mean, she could do either thing. She was a debut winner as well. So I don't know. There's a lot to like about this horse. The works look pretty good to me. Mott, he's pretty good with first-time starters. I know hasn't always been his reputation, but the last couple of years in particular, he's got these horses ready to go.
The 2 is Original Idea going out for Shug McGahee. This isn't your typical Shug pedigree, though. This kind of geared towards speed by Uncle Mo. The Dam was a stakes-winning sprinter who won her first 2 starts. The second Dam was a stakes place dirt sprinter. The Dam's a half to a graded stakes-winning dirt router. Shug likes to take his time, and he's really been taking his time. This horse has been breezing since late January.
Yeah, taking his time trying to get this horse ready to go. And now he's finally got this horse entered in a race where, listen, there are a bunch of interesting first-time starters. I think this horse is as interesting as any of them, though, Dan. And maybe he gets a little bit overlooked here because you don't typically think of Shug having them all cranked up to go.
Arteta is the number 3, and this horse showed immense improvement off of a lengthy layoff as a first-time gelding for George Weaver. Let's watch that race. A maiden special at Aqueduct going 6.5 furlongs. Arteta showed speed in this race. It's not like the pace was very fast, but again, he had to deal with a long layoff, and maybe he's feeling the effects of it right about now.
Yeah, getting a little tired at the end of this race. He did contest the pace, though. Horses that wind up finishing 1-2 just sort of sat behind him in really good trips, and they just come by him at the end of the race. He has nothing left to fight back. I don't know, Dan. I can see him moving forward one more time. We'll see. I bet him in that race right there, even with the layoff, just because I thought maybe his 2-year-old starts were a little underrated, particularly his debut. I mean, that was a fast pace, and they used his speed there. He got hooked up. That Pirate was a Pletcher first-time starter who went off at 1-5, and this horse took the race. The Pirate dueled him and got tired. I don't know, man. I thought maybe he just did a little bit more racing than it looks on paper. I did want him to run a little better last time, though.
Treaty Obligation, the number 4, is at the board in all 5 starts, including this race at Saratoga last summer. He got wired in this race. He's swinging to the outside. He's going to get up for second. The 5th place horse would come back to place in a maiden special with an 88th, then graduate with an 81 buyer, but it's a long layoff. He's listed as a gelding. He was also listed as a vet scratch last month, and it's taken him about 4 weeks to get back into the entries.
Yeah, this race is okay, but he's only second best in this race. He's never really getting to this winner, but he ran fine in here. I think he could just sort of go back to any one of his 4 starts before that one and say the same thing. He ran fine in there. He just wasn't quite good enough. We'll see if he can move forward now as a 4-year-old. He does have the advantage of all that experience, though, Dan. This field is full of first-time starters. He can put that experience to use.
The 5 is Diver. He's a first-time starter trained by the great Todd Pletcher. He's a son of Speightstown, sold for $180,000 as a yearling. The Dam's a half to a grade 1 stakes winner on the synthetic. That was Drill. Diver shows solid workouts. Kendrick Carmouche takes them out. I won't be surprised if he shows early speed. I won't be surprised if he's slightly overbet simply because of the Todd factor.
Yeah, that could certainly happen. This is definitely one of those races where you probably want to wait a little bit and see where the money winds up going. But this horse, he could get bet in here, Dan, maybe deservedly so. He's got enough pedigree behind him. Not only is the Dam a sister to that grade 1 winner, but she was a debut winner. So I don't know. I just feel like this horse could be really ready to go. You usually expect that from Todd. We'll see what kind of price he is.
Direct Channel is the number 6 first-time starter for Rick Dutrow. Johnny Velasquez takes the mount. $160,000 yearling by Uncle Mo. Dam's a half to a stakes place dirt router. The third Tam, Take Charge Lady, was a grade 1 stakes winner. So you got that Take Charge Indy family and Will Take Charge. A lot of distance in this pedigree. Interesting that Dutrow had this horse entered in a route race last week. We're turning him in a sprint here.
Yeah, that is interesting because this horse has the pedigree to really go longer than this, but maybe they don't feel like he's quite ready to go the mile yet. You mentioned, listen, I'm surprised that they only paid 160,000 for this horse, considering all the pedigree that this horse has underneath him. I mean, I'm expecting him to have a little bit of talent here, Dan. I wonder if he needs one. That's why they're sprinting.
His uncoupled stablemate, the number 7 Cage Match, certainly has a pedigree. He's a half to white. Barrio, of course, won last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. 2 starts, 2 on the board finishes, including this race at Aqueduct last month, where he finished third as the favorite. Cage Match ran against Light the Way, who was second that day. We'll watch Light the Way's replay with Cage Match in a bit. I like the fact that he showed improved early speed in that race, Mike. I think he's slowly improving.
I like that too. I kind of wish that he had managed to wind up getting second in there, and he couldn't get by Light the Way. But he still ran okay in that race. It was sort of a little bit of a different running style. His debut, I thought, was actually interesting because he just didn't have any speed, and then he rallied up the inside to get second. I thought that was a useful performance. I didn't think he ran quite as well last time, but there's certainly room to improve here.
He's a half to white Barrio. The 8 Light the Way is a half to By the Moon. It was a grade 1 stakes winner sprinting. Let's watch that last race where they hooked up. Light the Way showed some speed, and here is a first-time gelding. It's not like the pace was very hot, Mike. You're going to see Cage Match in here eventually finishing third. The 4th place finisher would come back to win a 75,000 maiden claimer with a 78 buyer. This horse should be right up and on the pace once again.
Should be. I mean, those are his best races when he's on the front. This is a really good debut winner from Chad Brown winning this race. So you can see there too, the margin of victory, it's pretty short, but it could have been way more than that. These 2 horses were not that close to that winner. This horse's best game, though, has been shorter distances. First of all, they've stretched him out 7 and 8 furlongs. Doesn't seem like he's quite as good at that. And he does want to be forward in his races. We'll see how fast this pace is.
Donegal Momentum, the number 9, another first-time starter by Uncle Mo. This one sold for $375,000. A lot of turf, though, on the bottom of this pedigree. Dam was kind of stakes placed on the turf going long. She did win her debut. The second Dam was a stakes-winning turf mile. Respect these connections, but maybe going to take a little bit of a wait-and-see approach.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens because you're right. The pedigree on the bottom suggests turf, but this horse is working up a storm on the dirt. Nothing but fast works for this horse. And they really paid up for this horse as a yearling. I mean, it's not like there's a ton of pedigree here, Dan, and they went to 375 for this horse.
This horse breezed in what, 45 and change out of the gate back in late April, so he looks like he's pretty fast. Drunk on Sake completes the field. $42,000 2-year-old in training purchase, breezed in 10 and 2 at the sale by the multi-purpose sire Yoshida. The Dam was a half to a stakes winning dirt router. I have a feeling this horse will go off at a good price in here. Another one, though, I want to kind of watch.
Yeah, it seems like this is maybe the one first-time starter who will really get overlooked in here. Maybe that's a good thing, Dan. You'll get this horse at some kind of really, really big price. Doesn't have, all those intangibles that the others have, with good first-out trainers or big pedigrees. But maybe there's something to recommend this horse. He did work at the 2-year-old sale.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Let's take a look at our top picks for the Thursday DRF race of the day. Donegal Momentum, speedy from the gate, Mike. He's by Uncle Mo, one of our favorite stallions, and I think he'll be a playable price unless the workout gurus are buzzing.
It'll be interesting to see how much money he takes in here, because I don't know that I would want to go too short on him. Tom Morley doesn't have great numbers with these first-time starters sprinting on dirt, but he's off to a really good start at this meet. He's sending out a bunch of live horses. I think this horse might be able to run a little bit. I usually hate first-time starters. I got all first-time starters in there in my top 4 picks.
Direct Channel is a first-time starter. It's the Dutrow firster. I kind of like the steady string of workouts leading up to this. It's kind of an underrated pedigree. Again, deep in the female family. I trust Dutrow first time out. I'm hoping this horse goes off around 5-1 or so. 6-4-8-7 for me, 9-5-2-6 for Mike. DRF race of the day for Thursday, the 6th, Belmont at the Big A. Good luck.